Subai counted and then fished out a seed box from his backpack. He picked out the spirit seeds he urgently needed and planted the bloodthirsty spear bush with a seed. Because the bloodthirsty spear bush grew very fast, he scattered its parts. Okay, buddy, now deeply hypnotize the boar and kill it. Water the bloodthirsty spear bush with its blood. He instructed after planting the bloodthirsty spear bush. Howl. Nodding, the cub used its vine whip to deeply hypnotize the boar it had just caught. The little tyrant then cut off its head with a crush claw, causing its fresh blood to burst like a fountain and immediately stain the ground. Upon feeling the blood, the bloodthirsty spear bush gradually awakened. Its leaves shook slightly, and it looked very happy, seemingly enjoying the blood. After draining the boar's blood, the spiritual field turned dark red, and all 18 stumps of the bloodthirsty spear bush grew new shoots. Okay, kill the other 4 boars, then just throw their carcasses on the ground. The bloodthirsty spear bush will completely digest them. Subai wiped the dirt off his hands. Howl. The cub nodded and threw the other 4 sleeping boars into the spiritual field. It then used 2 skills to end their lives before pouring their blood onto the field. Subai activated the shield, washed his hands, and left with his pets. He could not plant other spiritual seeds so casually and had to cultivate and germinate them first before transplanting them. Looking around, he realized that many spiritual fields had already been planted with spiritual seedlings, and the irrigation system would drip spiritual water with rich spiritual power from time to time. It seemed like his parents had already reached an agreement with teacher Hu Jie's Blue Moon cultivation house. After strolling around, he returned home with his pets. A modern society is much better for sure. He collapsed onto his bed and sighed. Compared to the constant fear in the wilderness, the stable and peaceful social order on Blue Planet was much more important. He knew that behind this seemingly stable and peaceful society, many big bosses were resisting the invasion of aliens. He felt even more certain that criminals who disrupted the social order deserved death. After resting a while, he got up again to put the 2 eggs in a glass jar. He took out some spiritual crystal nuclei and used the light balls to replenish their origin first before he poured in some cultivation solution to help both awaken and to prepare them for subsequent incubation. He did not know how long the 2 pet eggs had been in that cave for, but the sudden replenishment seemed to be filling a bottomless pit, and Subai was unable to fill them up even after a long time. However, he did not intend on filling up their origin all at once. It was unrealistic and not good, either. Haste brought no success, and if he had his eyes fixed on petty profits, he could hardly succeed in great ventures. This kind of thing needed a bit of patience, so he planned to replenish their origin slowly. After everything was done, he showered, changed clothes, and lay in bed. Even though he and Chen Roshua had been stuck together in the wilderness, they had not dared to sleep too deeply. Now, Subai could finally get a good night's sleep. He slept all the way until night but still felt very sleepy when he woke up. Turning around, he saw his pets hugging his arm and leg respectively, both having fallen asleep. He quietly got up from the bed and looked at the 1,000-face fox eggs in the incubator. He then turned to put more water-soaked young leaves for the little bloodworm in the glass jar. Cece. The little bloodworm let out a happy sound, having fully adapted to its current life. Its carefree life now, where it did not need to worry about being eaten or finding food, was really too wonderful. Subai took out 3 strings of aquamarine bracelets from his backpack, which were made from a rare mineral called the ore of life. It was a special type of ore formed by burying a dead spiritual tree in the ground, where it absorbed the ley line's dragon breath and essence of life. Its whole body was jade-like, but it had the powerful effect of nourishing the body, increasing strength, and beautifying the skin. He turned this single ore of life into 3 bracelets as gifts for his parents and his younger brother. Downstairs in the living room, Suyu was reading books about pharmacology by himself. "This is for you." Subai threw the bracelet over. "Thank you, big bro." Suyu looked at it and smiled. "This is actually the ore of life. You're really rich. You actually know about it." The little tyrant dug it from the ground. He glanced at his younger brother in surprise. "Of course, I'm an aspiring pharmacist." Suyu held his head high and boasted. "You'd better brag after obtaining a certificate." Subai pointedly looked at his brother and then went into the kitchen to give the other 2 bracelets to his parents. Howl. Sigh, turned a. Sigh, it smells so good. Bad Arbai didn't even wake me up for dinner. The cub ran downstairs and complained to him. Raw Tilda the little tyrant also ran downstairs and stared eagerly at the beef on his chopsticks. I already set aside some for you too. Subai took out 2 small bowls of fragrant beef and pork and placed them on the table. The 2 pets showed blissful expressions and rushed forward to eat. The little tyrant picked up the bowl and poured the content directly into its mouth, while the cub used Vine Whip to pick up the meat and savor it slowly in its mouth. Mom, Dad, I'll go upstairs to resume sleeping. Subai greeted them and returned to his room after he had dinner. His 2 pets soon followed, looking eagerly at him. They had yet to eat the medicinal cakes he promised. Don't worry, I didn't forget. He glanced at both helplessly, then took out the medicinal cakes from the cabinet and fed these to them. Subai also took out a medicinal cake for the little bloodworm. While his pets ate, he climbed onto bed and chatted with Chen Roshue as he watched Fang Laoba's livestream. After eating, the little tyrant retired to its volcanic rock nest, its body letting out faint fluctuations of spiritual power. A small spark would appear on its claws from time to time as it comprehended the skill. The cub opened its tablet and played a game. Hassi, Hassi. Howl, howl. While playing Extreme Operations, the cub quickly communicated with its teammates. However, as Subai listened to the conversation, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Hassi, Hassi. That was the other pet which competed with the cub for first place on piano tiles, right? The one with the ID Ultimate Invincible? When did it and the cub become gaming buddies? Subai quickly climbed over to look at its screen. The cub was playing a 2 versus 2 game. At the moment, it and another teammate were sniping the people on the container on Port GS high ground. Purple Jade operated smoothly and moved with top speed, which was almost instantaneous. On the other hand, the other figure seemed to lag a little, but its aim was terrifying and it killed opponents with a single shot every time. Cutie, are you playing with another pet? Asked Subai as he caressed its head. Howl, howl. Yes, yes. Don't bother me, Arbai. It's the finals of God of War, so don't affect my operation. The cub responded without raising its head. Subai waited for a while, watching the cub slay enemies all the way before it eventually got blown up by a gang of 4 with grenades. Howl. Hash, it's all your fault, Arbai. If you didn't interrupt me, I wouldn't lose. The cub angrily threw the tablet aside and bit his clothes. Subai's eyes widened. The game had nothing to do with him. The cub obviously did not do well and landed on the grenades, so why was it his fault? It had an affinity with grenades. The cub did not care about these and continued biting his sleeve while rolling on the bed. It's all Arbai's fault. In this house, if I say that it is your fault, then it is. Okay. It was my biggest mistake to buy you the tablet. He glared at his pet. Disaster really befell one unexpectedly. Stop messing around. Have you added your teammates' QQ or WeChat yet? Let it send a selfie and let's take a look. Subai asked after feeding it 2 strawberry-flavored medicinal cakes. Howl. Has Arbai conspired against other pets again? The cub glanced at him, then took out its tablet, and sent a message to Ultimate Invincible, asking it to take a selfie. The other party soon sent a picture. Ultimate Invincible. Picture. Subai's eyes widened. What the F***? Was the other teasing his pet by sending a picture of a map? The cub also replied with a blank expression. In the end, Ultimate Invincible quickly sent a message. My good friend Purple Jade, it's not that I don't want you to look at my appearance. It's just that once I send you my selfie, I may not be able to play on my phone, nor contact you again. Please forgive me for my helplessness. Purple Jade, why? Are you a criminal? Ultimate Invincible, I'm just a good monster which has been misunderstood by the world. I'm harmonious and friendly, sincere and kind to people. If you really wanna see me, you can come see me at the Vatican. I'll prepare a beautiful gift for you. Purple Jade, okay. You're a liar. The Vatican? Subai was puzzled over it. Had that place not already disappeared more than 100 years ago? He searched about it on his phone and found out that the Vatican was swallowed by a spatial crack which had suddenly appeared during the aura rejuvenation 100 years ago. Okay, I'll verify it next time when I have the chance. He felt like there might be some secret in this matter, but that place was too far away, and it was not convenient for him to go so far now. Okay. Go to bed. He picked up the cub and put it to the side. Howl. Purple Jade reluctantly turned off its tablet and lay on the other side. The little tyrant could not sleep with Subai because it was too big and heavy now. Also, it preferred sleeping in the nest made of hot volcanic rocks. Under normal circumstances, it slept in a magma purgatory, but with Subai there, it had to reduce the high temperature, which was not really very pleasurable for it. After lying down, Subai's phone rang. He opened the message to see 1,000,000 yuan transferred into his account. They only transferred it after a month. No one can compete with their speed. Subai complained after seeing the 1,000,000 yuan bonus from the Spirit Alliance. Shaking his head, he slowly fell asleep. 1,000,000 yuan was not considered a huge sum to him anymore. The next day, after sleeping soundly the whole night, he woke up early to discover that the little tyrant and the cub were already awake. The little tyrant was gnawing on stones in its nest, while the cub was squatting on the windowsill, looking at a bunch of small purple saplings in the flower pot as it slowly poured a cup of morning dew inside. This alien flower species, purple screen, had already germinated but had yet to bloom. Wow, you planted so many flowers? Subai walked over and asked. Besides the purple screen, 5 other stone-type flower pots had plants in them. Howl. / of course, I wanna grow spiritual fruits to eat. The cub looked at him with its head held high. You can do it. He encouraged it, then turned around to prepare food for them. Let's go to school. He told his 2 pets after breakfast and picked up 2 books. It was June 7th. Subai and the others had completely moved to the 3rd grade classroom and officially become senior students. The students who did not choose the pet subject were already trying hard to study for exams. Subai's courses had suddenly become much heavier, they had evening self-study, and lessons took up almost their entire day. His college entrance examination was mainly divided into theory and actual combat. The theoretical part, which tested their knowledge of pets like basic pet characteristics, egg identification, monster classification, pet breeding, potion making, etc., had a normal cultivation class score. Various basic knowledge would be assessed. Fortunately, most of them were fundamentals and could be easily memorized. The school's requirements were to write and recite questions, train for 3 days a week, and review on the remaining 2 days. Subai's days passed like this. The pain of high school was the same even if he was a pet tamer now. There was no power that came in vain, and everything had to be acquired through hard work. How are your preparations for the selection competition on the 15th? Chen Ruoxue asked while lying on the table in their class. I haven't made any preparations at all. My 2 pets just broke through and evolved and will remain like that for a while. I think that it should be enough to run for the city team, and it shouldn't be a problem to get chosen, he replied nonchalantly. With his current strength, it was not a problem to enter the city team. The selection method of the city team was not to have duels with one another but rather to challenge the virtual reality combat simulator in a stage called the Road of Champions. The final selection would be based on the number of stages passed. The reason behind this method was the large number of competitors as well as the competition being too time-consuming. On the one hand, because everyone only had 1 pet, once they met an opponent their pet was restrained against, it was too easy to be killed. This method would eliminate some good players. The Road of Champions had a total of 100 stages, which featured a variety of pets and different environments. The in-depth comparison of the total number of stages passed could clearly reflect the comprehensive strength of each player. Players could continue the game even if they lost a stage, and their total scores would be calculated after they finished all 100 stages. Since it was in a virtual reality, the time spent was also greatly reduced.